Here's to the lobes.
Yeah, to the lobes.
Lobes, right?
Hey, what's your problem? Oh, what is your problem?
Cheryl, don't move. I've got it under control. I need club soda and salt.
Hey, you, turn around. Look at her, right there. Is this the guy?
Yes.
That's him?
Yeah.
You were following my wife?
I wasn't following her.
She called the cops on you. What do you mean? Look at me.
I need
Look
salt.
at me.
I need
I'm
salt.
talking to you.
Thank you.
said look at me.
Season 3, Episode 3, Club Soda and Salt. And I am Susie Essman. And you are?
Jeff Garlin.
And we have special guest again joining us.
I am not Jeff Garlin. I am Jon Hayman.
Jon Hayman. Jon Hayman, who I'm just going to say again, for those who didn't listen last week, Jon Hayman is one of our consulting producers on Curb. He's an old friend of all of ours, and he was actually in Season 3, Episode 2 and Episode 3. So here we go.
Here we go.
Club Soda and Salt. So Larry comes home, and Cheryl is very obviously...
She's kind of giddy.
Chummy, giddy, laughing it up with her acting partner, Brad.
Right? So my agent calls, and he has an audition for me for a biker.
Right.
So I'm just psyched, and I get my Hells Angels jacket on and my leather, and I bust into the room, and there's 30 actors with bicycle shorts on, the spandex ones, and little gloves, and I'm just going, oh, brutal.
Hi.
Hi.
You're Brad, or you this is Brad.
And he's in tennis shorts. They play tennis together, obviously.
Good-looking guy.
Good-looking guy, and you could just feel it. You just
you
feel
just I thought he was. That's interesting because I just watched it, the episode. I thought he was her tennis instructor and was one of these guys. But I really want to be an actor. No, he's her instructor. I thought.
Oh, no, he's not her tennis instructor.
He's her partner.
He's her scene partner.
Really?
Her acting partner.
Oh, I didn't get that at all. I thought he was the instructor. Oh, okay.
And they play tennis
way,
together.
This first scene, I don't think Larry's being paranoid.
No,
this is like
I agree.
And by the way, in subsequent scenes, I think the same thing.
Yeah.
He's not being paranoid.
No.
Right. Now, generally, Larry would be paranoid.
There's a vibe.
There's something going on. I mean, she's not having an affair, but
there's a vibe.
He's
got
reason to be suspicious.
Yeah. That's right. And I think it's good for him.
Okay.
And then you see, Larry's jealous, and he says, "I'm going to get a single heterosexual woman to play golf with. He's going to get her back." And Larry says, "He's attracted to you." And Cheryl's like, "Oh no, he's not." She's being very coy. "No, he's not."
Yeah.
When she knows that he is. And Larry says, "You don't know anything about men," which I think is true. I mean, I think that women are completely oblivious in many ways to how much men constantly think about sex.
Oh, my God. Yes.
But yeah, so you don't know anything about men. And then Larry says that he'll play tennis with Cheryl. He doesn't want to play tennis with Cheryl, but he says he will.
Speaking of that, I'm talking about Sari. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. She always wants to go biking, skiing, all this. So sometimes I have to go, I'll go biking, And I said it to her yesterday. Let's go for a bike ride. I even suggested it because I know how much that means to her, and you got to do it. Or when your back's against the wall, like Larry's in this one, he has no choice but to say, I don't want that guy playing. I'll play tennis with you. But he doesn't say, I don't want that guy playing tennis with you. He's just very enthused.
I think in the beginning of my relationship with Jimmy, I was very clear. I'm not camping. I'm not hiking.
Well, by the way, you and I should actually be together, and he should be with Sari. They can do and by the way, Sari's my handyman.
Yeah.
Jimmy
is too, but...
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Jimmy's the handyman, too. Yeah. No, it's the complete... you and I enjoy a good nap, watching Columbo. You know what I mean? It's like...
Morse.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so next we cut to you and Larry are at the restaurant, Bobo's, right? That you're opening, and you have a cup of coffee, you're drinking coffee, and there's construction going on, there's a lot going on behind you guys, and... Larry tells you about Brad, the whole thing about Cheryl's little friend, Brad. And now he's got to play tennis with her. And somebody comes up behind you, bumps into you, and you spill the coffee. Jeff spills the coffee.
Yes.
And Jim, what's his name?
Jim Stahl.
Jim Stahl,
Second
who's
City,
terrific.
Chicago. Really terrific, great guy. And I could swear at the top of that scene, I don't know why I'm thinking, I have to go, I could swear he's talking to Tim Kazurinsky in the background.
He is.
He is.
Yes. But we don't see Tim Kazurinsky any other time during the episode, I don't believe.
No, we don't. That's why I was like,
he
was
comes
that Tim?
up in the next episode.
Tim Kazurinsky, who Saturday Night Live, Second City in Chicago.
That guy. Right.
Yeah, but he is. I noticed that as well.
Okay,
Jim.
he's in the
Jim,
Hugh.
but Jim, I think it's Jim Jensen in this or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's
something like
we
that.
love using real first names.
Yeah, and Jim comes. It talks about this, an old restaurant trick. Club soda and table salt, where you pour the club soda on, then you drench it, pour the table salt on, and it will get any stain out. Okay.
Which does work, by the way. As a matter of fact, from that show, I've done that. It works.
No, it does work. But the way, stop with the crinkling. I know I threw it at you.
Because you threw it at me.
I know, but
I was
stop.
doing that on purpose.
Well, we're on the air. Why would you do that?
Just for that reason.
Anyhow, Jim Stahl, the way he plays that, looking up at us, telling us that he looks like a really sweet, doing his job manager.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I want to say, and I wanted to say it last episode. I want to say this: the camera work on the show sucks. There's movement, but it's supposed to be cutting in between. There's a lot of shots that start on one person and shift over to the other. Those are so unsettling. And also, so many of the characters are head and head. I mean, shoulders and head. Down to the shoulders, which is not comedy. That's emotional shit. You don't need so it's like, I am so confused as how we let that happen. Maybe we didn't know better.
And I don't notice it.
It's funny because...
Did you notice?
I did notice it, and just from working on this show for 4 seasons, I'm aware of all that stuff now that I never... Just because, I'm friends with the camera guys, and they tell me little technical things that you know. And it's funny, on any TV show, everyone looks at it differently. I look at the writing. An actor will look at the actor. The wardrobe person will look at what they're doing. It's not really tunnel vision, but it's what you focus on. And now, working on this and also sitting behind Jeff Schaffer direct and the way takes are done and what coverage is. And I thought now, watching the episodes, exactly what you did. I went, wow, what the hell is going on here? We've gotten it down to an exact science, which really is specific, and it's actually
What
easy.
season do you think that was that we...
That we switched over?
Yeah. I would say 5.
Oh, no. After that.
We'll see when we come to it.
Yeah. By the way, I will let everyone know when we come to it. But it's so, I'm going to use this word, it's jarring to me. It's
jarring.
And by the way, as I told you from the hour special, I actually, John, notice these things while it's happening.
Right.
I would always say to Larry, why are we moving the camera from one person to another? Why don't we have a camera on one, a 2-shot maybe, and a single shot, and then the next one a single, you know what I mean? Why is all this movement? And by the way, I do get dizzy. I can't even go on a swing. It's true.
What, the vertigo?
Well, from when I had a stroke, I now can't do it. Yeah. And so when I watch these, I get kind of nauseous.
But when did the show switch to high def? That's another thing.
That was much later.
No.
But are these episodes upscaled? Like now when you watch them on HBO?
No, they're not upscaled. And we were shooting with what at the time was the best, which was Digi-Beta.
Okay.
And it was actual tapes, Digi-Beta.
Okay, so we finished the table salt. So Jim does the whole table salt and club soda. And then who walks in saying we need to talk? Chef Randy.
Yep.
Played by
yours truly,
Jon Hayman. And you quit.
I'm out, guys.
What do you mean?
I'm out.
What are you talking about?
Out of what? I can't do this. I can't cook. I can't cook in this restaurant. I'm no good. I suck.
What? That's ridiculous.
No,
What
that's
is
ridiculous.
You cooked at my house last week.
It was
delicious.
You don't want me. I'm doing you a big favor, believe me.
What is this about? The peanuts? Is that what this is about?
That didn't help because a lot of cooks, it's frowned on when they poison someone.
I had to quit because
You suck.
couldn't. But no, I know we talked about this before the show.
Okay.
I am so unhappy about my alleged performance.
Why?
And I will. And I'll tell
that's
you,
why you were great.
Well, except I wasn't, because I made the mistake that a lot of actors do when they come on the show. And I had stuff prepared in my head, which, as you know, is the absolute worst thing you can possibly do. Excuse me, is there a cough button?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the look on your face, how frustrated you were that there wasn't a cough button.
Well, because I was still... And,
by the way, we're in a studio in Hollywood, in the iHeart Radio studio. There's studios on this floor. And the studios we're in, they kind of look like someone's den that was turned into...
They're very beige.
They're very beige. A lot of beige, but there are no... We don't have... well, you kind of have a thing in front of you, right? Where's the thing?
Monitor
yeah,
thing.
you're doing it on a computer, the sound shit. But, there'd be a board. We have no boards. We have no cough buttons.
Well, so anyhow, I always... If I could do that part again, knowing what I know now...
By the way, when you bump on the table like that, it comes through the microphone.
Okay.
All right.
I wish I could go back, that we could do this again, knowing what I know now.
Right.
And then, but then I just had stuff in my head, and it took...
Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine you knowing what you know now being better than you were. Because I got to tell you, when I was watching it, especially the second episode when you quit.
No, I didn't do anything in the first episode.
Well, yes, you did. You gave me some dirty looks. You were good.
You had a presence.
Yeah, you were. You were definitely. But that... When you come up to Larry and I and explain about how it's going to be reviewed, I can't do
big
it. You
celebrity
don't want
restaurant.
Me, big celebrity. And by the way, it felt sublime. It felt perfect. And so it's a lot of times, it's like body dysmorphia. You look beautiful. You feel like, you're shit to yourself.
But I think all actors do that all the time.
I don't.
I do.
Well, by the way, scripted material, I do it all the time. When I'm doing something that's really well done and it's scripted, like I regret, what movie I haven't seen, and I actually am going to see it in a few weeks.
Babylon?
Babylon. I've never seen it because A, I know I'm going to hate my performance, and B, I might not like the movie. It's a no-win situation.
But when I leave set after a day, I lie in bed that night and I think, I wish I could do that over again. I always think,
show?
Yes, I always think I could have done it better.
Well, Larry,
I always think that.
Larry sometimes, he hasn't done it. It's been a few years since he said this to me. He goes, that scene would have been better written.
Rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely.
Well, it's that same feeling. I'm sure we've all done this. You go into an audition and you're a little tense, and, it's an uncomfortable thing for anyone to do. And then the moment you walk out the door, you go, if I could just feel now relieved and relaxed, if I could feel this way before I went in, I would have been great.
Auditioning is a horrible thing.
Let me tell you a funny story about me auditioning. It's not a story. Whenever I think I did great, I've never gotten the part. And whenever I think I sucked up the room, I've gotten the part. So go figure on that.
It's kind of,
what that says is that we have no sense of how we're really performing.
By the way, I have a high level of self-awareness. I'm extra, like I'm always apologizing to you, the listener, first when I ramble. But I forgot what I was saying.
Okay.
All right.
So Randy comes in and he quits. And Larry asks, Randy comes in and says he quits, I suck. And Larry says, is it about the peanuts, about the ketchup? And Randy says, no, it's a big celebrity restaurant. I'm going to get reviewed.
He says a great line, that didn't help.
That didn't help.
Okay.
Yes, that didn't help. And then Randy walks out, and then they're fucked. They don't have a chef, and the restaurant is opening in 3 weeks.
I was so excited, by the way, that I was telling people, I didn't say it full of myself, but I said, I acted with Ted Danson. Well, my acting with Ted Danson was, shut up, or something like that when I'm leaving. Because, I was a really big star then.
Yeah, I have a story about that later in this episode.
And also, how come that guy doesn't fucking age? What is going on?
He does look the same now as he did
It's
then.
just really, it's the hair, I guess, mostly.
Well, now it's gray, then it was black. But other than that, he pretty much looks the same.
No, it's kind of like blondish even.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And then Ted walks in and they tell him that Randy quit. And Ted said, was it a peanut thing? And Jeff and Larry at the same time, no! They get very, very... So it's 3 weeks away. Who's going to be the chef? And Ted comes up with the idea that Josh, who cooks for them at home, is a great cook. And why don't you come over and sample it? And And then Larry goes over to see the stain, and it's all better. The stain is gone. Now, the thing about Josh that I thought of in that moment is somebody who's cooking for a family of 4 is very different than a chef. I've worked in restaurants for years. Is very different than a chef in a restaurant.
Well,
you could be a really great cook, but you can't be.
You see it from the minute the chef is introduced.
Correct.
The second he's introduced, you're like, this guy could never be a chef in a restaurant.
And what just
Sweet.
went to
By
the
the way, I
stain.
remember that guy's name, but he was. I remember he was just extraordinarily sweet.
Well, you could see that.
Yeah.
But wait, before we get to that, Larry goes over to see the stain. It's all better. And Jim says the trick is to get to the stain before it dries. Very important. Get to it quickly. Larry and Cheryl are playing tennis. And Larry's talking about getting his parents an apartment on Barrington.
Excuse me, but by the way, Larry much better at tennis than I mean, he looks like he can play tennis in that scene.
By the way,
he plays
I think
tennis.
he's a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I mean, he really is. I mean, he plays golf constantly, but yeah, he was
Well, I
better.
just thought that because I don't want to give
Did
away
we show
it.
them playing tennis yet? Did we talk about
Yeah,
that?
we're just getting to it now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so
No, but that's
why are you
yeah.
jumping ahead?
No, he's
No,
not.
I'm
I
not,
said they're
because
playing
he
tennis.
said they're
Oh,
playing
now you
tennis.
just
Yes.
said that? Okay.
So now they're playing tennis, and Larry's hitting little balls against the fence. He talks about his mother getting treatment at Cedars, and hopefully then she'll go home.
Hold on. Him hitting balls from 3 feet away
Against the fence.
from a fence and almost hitting Cheryl.
You know what? I swear to you, I'm gonna kill you when that ball hits me.
So my mother will start getting that new treatment at Cedar Sinai, and hopefully she'll get better and they'll go home.
I think I remember when we shot this being very nervous. Very, very nervous, and saying, how can you control it? I got it. He did have it, but it still caused me a lot of stress.
Because then again, Larry's a very good athlete.
Yeah.
And then they run
Played
into
for the Jets, I believe, in the Super Bowl.
Yes, he did.
Well,
his football name was Emerson Boozer.
Number 32.
Yeah.
Then they run into friends of theirs. Larry and Cheryl run into Melanie and Ed, and you feel something's awkward. It doesn't feel right.
It really feels awkward.
Yeah.
And by the way, not remembering what that storyline was, I thought that Larry had done something because it seemed like that. The vibe was, because you never feel people being mad at Cheryl, but they were. But they were that vibe of like Larry did something to them that he's going to find out. That's what I felt.
Yeah. And then Melanie and Ed leave, and Cheryl realizes they never got them a wedding gift, and it's been over a year. And that they're harboring a grudge because they didn't get a present. And Larry's like, we flew to Chicago, we did this, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Then they're playing tennis, and Cheryl is Monica Selasing, grunting.
Is that good?
It was out.
That was out?
Yeah. If we were playing doubles, it would have been good.
You know what? You gotta stop the grunting.
What are you talking about?
You grunt on every shot. Every shot you hit, you make this disgusting noise. You don't hear it?
No.
What do you mean, no?
That's how I play tennis. I didn't even know I was doing it.
Well, you grunt every shot. It's really annoying and it's throwing me off.
Oh, is that why you're losing?
Sounds like pigs fucking. How do you like this? Would you like to listen to this, huh?
Yeah. I don't mind it.
Which, by the way,
She was the first one that I remembered that used to do that.
Yes.
Right?
Monica Seles.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because there was a lot of attention was paid to it.
Yeah.
No, Cheryl grunting, what does he say to her?
Hey,
later?
you're making a disgusting noise. You're throwing me off. Sounds like pigs fucking.
Yeah, and then doesn't he start imitating it?
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing about it is, I don't remember that being in the outline, her making the noise. I think that's how she plays tennis.
Oh, really?
And Larry picked up on it and said, please keep
that's
doing
funny.
that. Yeah.
Cut to their home brushing his teeth. Larry's always brushing his teeth, as we know, right, John?
Yeah.
And Larry starts talking about he found the perfect sock, and Cheryl is completely bored.
Which, by the way, can I first off, who wouldn't be bored when someone says they found
I
the
don't
perfect
blame
sock?
I really think I finally found the perfect sock. I'm not kidding. Because it's not exactly white. You don't want a white sock. It's sort of a... Is this boring you? I don't know. If you said to me, I found a perfect pair of socks, I'd go, no kidding. Where'd you get them? What are they like?
But that being said, Larry David is the only comedian I know I know. I mean, I know Jerry has the, where did the sock go? The extra sock. But Larry is the only person who can enter a scene and comes up with, I think I found the perfect sock.
Right.
I've never met anyone before, or seen anyone, and since, who does that. Where you, it's a sequitur that is like extreme. You're like, what?
And that he's got to share the news.
Oh, it's a non sequitur. No, it's a sequitur.
No, it's a non sequitur.
No, non sequitur means it really doesn't make sense. It's
well, at first it doesn't.
Does non sequitur mean? No, I'm being serious here. Is like that's from left field? Is that the same thing from non? Because I say non sequiturs all the time.
Yeah,
I'll see you at Molly Ringwald's barbecue or whatever. You know, it's just nonsense. But he was being sincere.
Yeah, but you can be sincere and come up with a non sequitur. It stands alone.
Okay,
it's like a sequitur. Only it's not.
Okay, thank you. No, John, by the way, when I want to know grammar or language, I go to Jon Hayman.
Yeah,
well, I did teach English.
By the way, you have workshops where? In Santa Monica Community College?
Temecula
Community College, okay.
Then they are talking about Cheryl wants to go to Tony and Tina's wedding.
And by the way...
Put a fucking gun to my head to get me to go to Tony and Tina's wedding.
Hold on, you have to, okay. I think Tony and Tina's wedding started in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. And I knew an original cast member who maybe had played Tina. That's just a sidebar that means nothing. But
maybe it was Lake Bell.
It was not. By the way, talking about miscasting for Tony and Tina's wedding, that would be Shiksa and Tony's wedding, or Bill Schwartz's wedding. Anyhow, see again, I lose my track.
So Tony and Tina's wedding. I'm giving you a thing.
Tony and Tina's wedding. Now and this is right on point. The way she's talking about it, she's not even close to mentioning who's in it, and you know damn well she does want to go by herself.
Right.
She doesn't want to go to Larry.
Right.
So there is no paranoia.
And she's
here.
trying to talk him out of it. She's like, the characters mix in with the audience. You're not going to like that. Well, I enjoy theater as much as the next guy.
Yeah.
And then Larry's like, why do you want to go? And then Cheryl says, well, because, Brad is in it. She just throws that away. And Larry's very, very suspicious.
And by the way, I'm saying, it's unusual for our show.
For Cheryl to be that transparent.
Yes, but also for Larry, like we always think this is insane what he's thinking.
But
or
this
like
is
the
not.
plan he had for me yesterday that I carry out with you is crazy.
But this is not. He's right.
He is totally.
He does not want him to go.
100%.
And then he's just, you know what? I don't want to go. You and Brad go out and have some beers, and the I and the we, and then she does what he does. She starts kissing him and seducing him. That's exactly what he does to her.
Right, which was great.
But then Larry takes off his glasses, getting ready to have a little sex there, and he puts them on the table, and he knocks the cranberry juice, and he runs to get the club soda and salt.
You have a problem with that?
No, I like this. Getting in trouble, using sex to get out of it. This is very good.
Okay, good. Well, then we're both happy.
Oh, shit.
All right.
Oh, my God.
Don't worry about it. You know what? It's cranberry juice. It's not going to come out anyway.
Cranberry juice? Oh, no, wait a second. I saw this thing at the restaurant today. Club soda and salt. Gets the whole stain out.
You know what? It's an old rug. Don't worry about it.
No. Wait till you see this. You're going to be amazed. Time's of the essence.
But what's beautiful about this is she is trying to stop him because they need to replace the rug. It's a piece of shit. She doesn't care. She wants to have sex to get her way.
That's right.
And so she is just really upset. And by the way, all the reasons she gave would make me want to stop if I was going off to do that. Or I would say, hey, can I do an experiment here? I just want to see if this really works.
Well, that was Larry's point of view. He was like, oh, my God.
He was excited about the chance to do it.
Exactly. And he comes running back in with a massive amount of paper
towels. Yeah.
And he does the whole routine. And he, tells her, you got to pour this in.
By the way, if I may, so Larry comes in the massive paper towels, which you see these technically, there's no salt.
And no club soda.
And there's no club soda.
Right.
However, in the next cut, there's very few paper towels and salt and it's club soda on the counter, which I just love those. But by the way, if you're really noticing those things, we have failed. Like
Correct.
Any continuity, if you're noticing, if it's not blatant,
it takes you out of it.
But here's the thing, though. And we were talking about this. Yes, everything happened yesterday. We were talking about this yesterday. That if you pay attention to that and you're not engulfed in what's going on, the story and the action, it's the creator's fault, you know?
But I still think continuity is important because you don't want to take people out of it and want it to be jarring.
I don't find that anything's jarring, including a boom mic. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite stories I read about in an interview with him, Almodovar. He made a movie in this one scene with this one actress. She went off, and when they were done and they needed a reshoot, she cut her hair very short. They told him, we'll make a wig for her. He goes, no, it won't look good. I don't care. Let her be this way. Let her just be. Same actress, different hair lengths. He said, no one has ever mentioned it to him or questioned him about that. Yes, because he's a compelling filmmaker.
Right.
He's brilliant, you know? And so I think Curb is one of those shows that if you're not following the action and having a jaunty time, we've not done our job. If continuity takes you out. But,
you know, it's funny you're talking about this because when you're, as a writer, when you're pitching stuff, you'll notice these things and you wonder, should I really bother them, in this case, Jeff Schaffer, with, hey, you know, this doesn't really make sense here.
Well, that's different than continuity. That's different than continuity. Well, and by the way, do you know how many shows I was on where as an actor I said, this doesn't make sense? Don't logic us, Jeff. And by the way, they were all shitty shows, you know, because logic is important. And by the way, always point that out to Jeff. He doesn't mind hearing that.
It depends on how busy we are. But and I'm talking about in general, not just Jeff.
Do me a favor. In those situations, come up and whisper it to me. Seriously.
Don't even bother me with it.
I love whispering to you.
Don't. By the way, you do. You tell me things, jokes and such. But yeah, she doesn't want to be whispered to. I love being whispered to, especially with the sound of your voice in my ear.
But there's a name for writers who only do that. And I think John Levenstein, who's a very funny writer.
He is.
I believe I have the term right. It's a salad dressing writer who only comes up. He feels he's got to contribute. He doesn't have any ideas. And he goes, you know, in this scene, I think the broom was over there, you know, or stuff like that.
And but I'm talking about when logic in a scene doesn't.
I understand.
And by the way, what movie has the most continuity problems?
You said this 5 times
I
already.
know. The Godfather. There's more continuity shit in there. And by the way, the first 10 times you watch it, you don't notice. But then when you hear about what they are, and I've gone through the list, you see them all, but it doesn't matter.
I know you've talked about it. Just give me one. Just give me one.
I'll tell you one right now. Okay. In the very end, when they're having the reenactment of the birthday cake, they bring in the birthday cake for Don Corleone in Godfather 2. They cut to another scene. The cake's gone.
Oh, there's one. I have another one. When they go to strangle
Luca
Brasi, you know, and they're in the car. Exterior of the car, it's all modern.
No. That's not Luca. Luca Brasi's strangled in the restaurant.
Who
Carlo.
When they
right.
Carlo, right.
Yeah.
And they do that. Outside of it, there's all these wires. It's all modern. There's nothing. Yes, there's nothing period about it.
All right, let's get back to our show.
Oh, and also, by the way, in the corner of the screen, Sheena Easton singing.
Okay, so Larry finishes...
James Caan isn't Swedish, but anyhow, go ahead.
Larry finishes the whole club soda and salt routine. He goes back to Cheryl to resume having sex with her. She's done.
Well, by the way,
the window has closed.
Let me just say something. That's true for me, either on the instigating end or the receiving end. Whoever wants it and there's a delay in some sort, it's gone.
It's gone. That's death. The moment.
Death. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you could get it back, but usually I'm watching
it's
TV.
Like you submitted a written request.
Yes, thank you, John.
They used to do a lot of jokes about this on Red Skelton Show. Keep going.
The window has slammed closed. Cut to Larry and Jeff are at Ted's house for dinner, and they meet Josh, who looks very innocent and young and sweet, Josh being Ted's personal chef. And Josh is very excited to be auditioning for them. And Larry's like, you shouldn't have told him it's an audition. You know, It's not a good idea to tell them it's an audition.
It was not a good idea.
No. And then the three of them are eating, and Larry's clearly not happy with the food.
Right.
Pass the salt, please.
He asks for the salt. He sprinkles liberally salt on the food.
Yeah, I thought that's what he was going to go for in the scene, was that he was going to make, more, no pun intended, more of a meal of, he didn't put any salt on this thing, the salt. I thought that's where it was going.
Can I say something right here about the scene? So John mentioned it earlier. So when we filmed the scene of John quit, actually I have two stories right now. John and I met in South Florida, comic strip when I first started. I've known him since I'm 20 years old. That's when we first met. So I'm on the set, and James, my son, who's 20 at the time, is working on the show, and I see James talking to John at the same age that I was.
That you were when you met him.
And yes, I got
John had not aged. He was the same age when he met James as he was when he met you.
It was really moving to me. Now, the other thing that I want to say pertaining to the show right now is that sitting at that, now, we shot the thing with Randy quitting after we shot this. We shot that after we shot the scene. Now, I'd met Ted when we did was the second episode, third episode he was in, the shoes.
The bowling episode, that was season 1.
Yeah. So I met Ted, and I was like, oh, fuck, Ted Danson, how cool is that? But I was, that whole scene, I was thinking, oh my God, this is Ted. I have goosebumps thinking about it now. Oh my God, I'm in a scene with Ted Danson. Oh my God, I swear, I didn't say it out loud, because then Ted would have left. But that being said, it was overwhelming to me. And I had that with George Segal. When I worked with George Segal, I would think, because as a kid, I'd go to his movies, and now I'm doing a scene with him. What?
Well, that's how I felt. Obviously, I wasn't doing a scene with him. When we had Albert Brooks, I think,
right.
Holy shit.
By the way, Albert Brooks was my comedy hero.
You know what I always think about Ted? That not in these early years, but in the later years, it always strikes me funny that Ted Danson is such close friends with Susie Green. Not with me, but with Susie Green.
By the way, it's awesome. And by the way, I don't know if I ever told.
You know what I mean? It's like, why is Ted so close with Susie?
As years went on, Larry decided to make Ted a cad.
Yeah. Well, he is a little bit
a little bit.
Too.
But Larry, and here's the beauty of it. So he had been the cad for a while at this point, and Ted and I are talking about the scene, and he doesn't quite understand why he would act that way. I said, well, you're the cad. You're the bad guy. He was shocked.
He didn't know.
He had no idea. Yeah. He's like, I'm the bad guy. I go, yeah, you have been for the
this is pre.
I go, this is for the past 2 seasons, you have been the nemesis of Larry David, and there has been one time where you've been right, Ted. Larry's been right every time.
I mean, he's Newman.
Yes.
Yes. And he wasn't in that first with the first one.
Early on. But developed at the restaurant, he becomes more of one.
And even in which you weren't here for, the first episode, he's a cad with the Chet shirt.
Chet shirt.
Yeah,
he
he started that relationship started to evolve there.
But it was a slow build that he didn't even notice.
This is even before he started dating Cheryl.
Right, but he didn't even notice. It was such a slow build. It's like when you do a script for a network or a studio, they note you to death. Right. To where you don't really notice it, but by the time you're finished with what they've noted, it is unrecognizable for what you set out to do.
Yeah.
So Ted, no idea that he was the cad.
Yeah.
And I love that. And his reaction, that conversation, one of my favorites of all time.
He knows it now.
Yeah.
So Larry's...
And by the way, I still get that feeling when I'm working with Ted. We become great friends, but that being said, I still am in awe. Anyway, people say, who's your favorite actor you've ever worked with? Ted Danson.
There you go.
Okay.
I love working with Ted.
Yeah.
So Larry says, pass the salt. He liberally sprinkles it. And then he turns to you and he says, nice shirt. And the nice shirt is a way of saying, I'm not interested in this food whatsoever.
Right.
Basically, he's not following the food. And then...
And my shirt is not so nice. I just want to say.
It's a weird shirt for you to be wearing.
By the way, my wardrobe through this whole period is so insanely strange and ill-fitting.
Well, we had no budget, Jeff.
No. You can still get a suit that fits on low budget, okay? Ill-fitting and bizarre.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Ted asked about...
She does that every time. I point something out. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay.
Well,
what do you want me to say?
She just
what do you want me to say?
you.
You want me to just say, yes, it's ill-fitting. Yes, and keep on going with that? No, we're moving on.
That's called a conversation.
Yeah, we're moving on.
Okay.
And then Ted asked how you like the food. Jeff loved the food, of course. Larry, makes the face.
And by the way, he makes his lemon face.
And Ted says, you walked in here with an attitude.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, he makes his lemon face.
Okay, but do people who are listening know what his lemon face is?
Well, I think we've discussed it before.
We have?
Yes.
But Larry's lemon face, he makes a face.
I know we've discussed it before.
Of a lemon when he doesn't like something. Yeah.
Because I said last time we had this discussion, to me, it's always like he smelled shit face.
Right.
That's the face he always says.
To me, it's lemon. I don't like thinking
and
shit.
Jeff disagrees with Larry because Jeff says, you weigh like 8 pounds. How do you know anything about food?
Oh, the discussion. Yeah. That's a funny discussion about
thin people, fat people. Who knows more about food?
He knows more, and I'm claiming fat people.
There's a case to be made that thin people know more because fat people will just eat anything.
By the way, I always joke about it that in my life, I've been a human vacuum.
Right. So that's my point. However, fat people eat more food, so maybe they know more about food. I don't know which is accurate.
One has more experience and one is more present.
One is more discerning, maybe.
Present.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that struck me is the set design of this room. There's plates hung up on the walls, and there's a burgundy tablecloth.
Obviously, it's a house that we got.
This is not
Ted
Danson's house.
But by the way, that is a dining room in this whatever house we were in.
I know, but it is not Ted Danson's house.
No, it's not by any stretch.
And we've really changed in that. The set decoration has really changed over the years.
The only house that I actually loved was
our
house. Was the house we lived in the early episodes. I thought that was a cool house.
It was a cool house.
But really tough to get the trucks up there. It was on Woodrow Wilson. And so hard to get
there. Where was the house?
Up on Woodrow Wilson.
Up in the hills.
Up in the hills.
And they couldn't park the trucks there. It was a problem.
But it was so fun
But it
to
just
shoot
struck me how different the set design is. Our set decorators now would never have that.
Well,
they would completely redo it.
Well, by the way, I put that off on low budget and them just using practical what they had.
Right.
Okay.
And then Josh comes out and, Ted says,
gentlemen, how was everything? Did you enjoy your lamb?
Wonderful.
It was delicious.
Wonderful.
Good.
Really wonderful.
Good. Did you enjoy the plum, apricot, and mint chutney?
The chutney was amazing.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah. Larry has something he wants to tell you.
Yes, Larry?
It was good. I just don't think it's quite right for the restaurant, though.
What was wrong with that?
A little saucy. A little too saucy.
Saucy?
Yeah, kind of saucy.
Was there anything else?
Yeah, not really.
I guess dessert's out of the question.
No, I'll still have to take dessert.
I'll take dessert too.
And by the way, this is very caddish, but I think Ted's not even aware that he's being an asshole.
Oh, I think he is. Really?
No, look how upset he is as he's sitting there.
I don't think he's being an asshole, though. He's just pissed at Larry.
He's pissed at Larry.
But also, he's made a terrible choice.
But he's throwing Larry under the bus.
You don't tell the guy he's auditioning. You just come eat dinner. And Ted's very upset as he's listening there.
Yeah, but I also think Ted was throwing Larry under the bus. Larry has something to say to you.
Yeah, well, by the way, you tell him is definitely.
And what does Larry say? Too saucy.
Too fucking saucy.
But you know what? I understand his point because I hate when I go to these restaurants that try too hard. The chef went to the Culinary Institute and he's making all these saucinesses.
No, I'm not going to go in depth on it, but we had yesterday at lunch.
I knew
yesterday at lunch, caterer, their food is too foo-foo for me. I'm shocked that the crew loves them, and the crew does love them. I like them very much. If they hit a home run for me, to me, it's either a home run or striking out looking.
That is dead on correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's no way. Oh, it's pretty good.
May
So
I tell the audience,
hold on.
I am now sitting with the two biggest critics of catering on the show.
By the way, I've had how many caterers? I mean, in the past, I've had them fired. One time, I was going to have them fired, and Aaron O'Malley said, the crew loves them. And I immediately said,
but Jon Hayman and Jeff Garlin have more complaints about catering than
Carol
anybody else.
Yeah.
Than anybody else on set.
By the way, we are the only ones. I'm not. She's never. But
I know.
want to
But
say,
you're right. It's sometimes it's great,
right?
And sometimes
shocked,
it's like,
yeah.
are you kidding me with this?
So yesterday, I was asked, "What do you want to eat?" I said, "You know what? I'm not that hungry. I don't like everything was so foo-foo." I go, "Oh, macaroni and cheese. Get me a bowl of macaroni and cheese. Simple, okay. Spicy. Who makes spicy macaroni and cheese? Spicy.
Oh, that's
seasoning.
That's why you were asking me when Crafty had it. You get is it spicy? And I'm thinking, is he out of his mind? Who ever heard of spicy macaroni?
Guess what?
Then I gave him a taste. I like a little kid.
And by the way,
I literally spoon-fed him.
This is what goes on set, everybody.
Spoon-fed him. A little thing of macaroni
Lou
and
Schneider
cheese.
jokes that ketchup and Pop-Tarts are too spicy for me. But anyhow, that one wasn't spicy. I just didn't like it, the one later in the day.
Yeah.
But who makes spicy? This is what I'm saying. Leave shit out of it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, you just
I'm acknowledging we should stop. I said, okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So Larry says it's too saucy, and you just see Josh's sad face.
By the way, earlier takes, he started crying.
Oh, God, he was
and
so
Larry goes,
sweet.
Don't cry, please
but
don't cry.
But you see his face, he's about to cry, and
Oh,
he
no,
was so sweet.
By the way, there's nothing more moving in any movie, including dramas, at the premise of the great work is when someone's about to cry. That moment of trying to hold it in, that's really great acting. Letting it loose, sometimes it calls for it, mostly little kids when a horse dies. And on the other side, no emotion.
Well, that guy was great. It was like you had hurt one of his children.
I know.
Or something like that.
And he really took it personally, as it was personal.
Yeah.
And Josh the chef says, I guess dessert is out of the question. And Larry says, no, I'll have dessert. Right. And Jeff, of course, says, yeah, me too. Decaf?
Yeah, decaf. Yeah, you have decaf. I know. By the way, I just want to say this. No matter what goes on in the show, Larry and I are idiots. I just want to make that clear. We're tone-deaf idiots. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Now, Larry
no
and
discussion
Cheryl.
on that topic.
Well, it's true.
Well, because we agree.
But you know what you are? You're misassumed. People listening are probably going, what does she think? No, she thinks everyone knows what she's thinking. All right, keep going.
Okay. So next we cut to Cheryl. Cheryl and Larry are driving, and they're going to get a wedding present for Melanie and Ed. And what should we get for a wedding present? And Larry is sitting in the passenger seat, and he doesn't like not driving.
I knew exactly what he meant.
I feel like I don't have a personality in this
is
seat.
when I go, yeah, you know what? He's right. I don't feel right in there.
Jackie Gleason, who his stepson and Jackie Gleason's wife are. I have a lot of Jackie Gleason stories from my childhood. Jackie never drove. She drove him everywhere.
Did he not have a license? He didn't know how to drive?
No, he knew how to drive, had a license. By the way, I've got it good. Sari only wants to drive. She hates the way I drive. So I love being a passenger.
How did you feel me driving you here today, John?
What kind of question?
Did you feel okay as a passenger?
Did you feel safe?
Well, not the safe. It's not the safe.
I'm making a joke.
Because of what I said before. No, if I was in my own car, and aren't they in Larry's car?
Yes.
Being in the
No, they're in Cheryl's car. They're in Cheryl's car.
Oh, I didn't realize that, because that's what I meant.
Hold on. A problem here. Again, now they're on a, what's the driving thing called?
Yeah.
The process shot?
Yeah, no, that wasn't process. They're on the thing that you just ride as the truck drives. And right. They're driving down a smooth street. All the cars in the background that are driving are riding along smooth. Suddenly, Larry and Cheryl are driving through a gravel pit. They're shaking the cars so much. And in this one, as opposed to the other one where I mentioned it, Larry and Cheryl are really bouncing around again. And by the way, I didn't like the camera angles. Keep going.
Okay. So Larry doesn't like not driving. He feels like he doesn't have a personality in the seat. And he's like, well, you want me to sing or turn on the radio? He doesn't know what to do with himself. And this is, of course, a setup. Cheryl would rather have the radio than hear Larry sing. And we all know Larry sings all day long. He loves to sing. And a tape starts to play. And Larry's like, I thought you only buy CDs. And Cheryl says, a friend loaned it to me. And we know who that friend is going to be.
You want me to sing or you want the radio?
I think I'd rather the radio.
What is this, a tape?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with a tape? I thought you only buy CDs.
Actually, a friend loaned it to me.
Who was this?
It's Al Green.
Who gave you this tape?
Brad. It's good, isn't it?
You want to be with me? Is that what he's saying? You want to be with me? That's what he's singing about?
The fact that Larry didn't recognize Al Green was a little odd to me.
By the way, if I may, I picked that song and he didn't know what I was talking about.
Really?
I said, this is the perfect song and you will be able to play off it. And he didn't trust it until he was in post, because it's not really playing there.
Right.
And, well, you ought to be with me. Anyhow.
Al Green singing, You Want to Be With Me.
And by the way, I want to add one other thing. So Larry does sing every day.
Yes.
He sings and he kills me because they're so random. Okay? By the way, wouldn't that thing, instead of being a non sequitur, be random? The socks? Wouldn't that be random?
No, I don't think.
Because it's all context.
It's semantics.
It is random.
I'm done.
But it's not the opposite of non sequitur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what was I talking about?
Larry singing.
Oh, Larry sings every day.
Yeah.
Now, what blows my mind, the Larry David that I've known for years, up until a few years back, the first time I remember him singing on the show, no, I said to him, we're supposed to go to a U2 concert, and I said, do you even know who they are?
Yeah, that was it.
No,
that was a later episode.
Yeah,
that was it, yeah.
No, he had no idea, and so I've never known I've never known Larry to know he knows classical music.
Yeah,
he knows show tunes
and show tunes.
Yeah,
and Fellini, which is what our.
But no, he also knows 80s rock.
Nino Rota. No, hold on.
70s and 80s.
No, you're saying that now, but he didn't do any of that for years, and suddenly one day, the songbook opens. And every day, and they're always different. I mean, they're really different in styles, everything. And the fact that he knows them. And I will say to him, do you know who sang that song? No.
Yeah, he has no idea.
Do you know the name of that song? No. He just, for whatever reason, a part of his brain got opened and he sings all these songs. Because they are songs
but
where
you know what?
What?
I think that a musical brain and a comedic brain are very similar. There's a rhythm and a timing, and it's all about that.
Yeah. I use jazz as
and
my
that's a
example
part
for
of
me.
his,
Yeah, but
his
it's just,
thought process.
But he didn't have it. He never used it. He's recently tapped into it. That's my point. It's just so strange. Like come on, 10 years ago, do you remember him singing all the time?
Yes, I do. I remember him whistling a lot.
Yeah,
whistling
a lot.
Whistling, yes. But he knows the words to these songs, and he doesn't even know what song he's singing. All right, whatever. That was not even worth the time it took.
So
I'm acknowledging you, Susie. You should have cut me off.
So for Cheryl, Cheryl says a friend loaned her this tape.
Yeah.
And Larry says who? And she says Brad. And then we hear Al Green singing, You Want to Be With Me.
No,
so very pointed. And Larry says, this thing gets worse and worse.
Well, no, but he keeps saying, you ought to be with me.
Yeah.
You ought to be with me.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Yeah, he's right. Absolutely right.
By the way, when you're making someone a mixtape, there's implications.
Of course. And just making a mixtape is a very personal thing.
But you also do it with your close friends.
Anymore.
No, but back then you did it with your close friends.
Yeah.
Even when CDs were burned, people still did that on CDs.
Yeah.
It's long gone. Now it's playlists.
Right.
And making someone a playlist is not really. But anyhow, to make the tape, put the album on, do the whole thing, you do that for your friends of like cool music.
It takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time.
And effort.
So if it's someone you don't know very well, there's a message there.
Correct.
Okay.
Next, they're in the store and they don't know what to buy. A nice bowl. They probably have all this stuff. And Cheryl says, why don't we just get an expensive bottle of wine? Larry's immediately, how expensive? Cheryl's 200, 250.
Yeah.
They'll know the difference. They're wine connoisseurs. And so Cheryl goes to get the wine, and Larry prefers to stay in the store browsing.
Well, she's like, no, I'll just stay here. I'm not going to the wine store.
Yeah, just browsing. And then the sales girl, played by Laura Silverman.
So Laura Silverman, Sarah's sister,
comes up and says, how can I help you? And she's rather aggressive. Could we just narrow it down? And Larry says, no.
This was filmed on Montana, by the way.
On Montana.
Yes.
A napkin rings at 10% off, and she starts following him around, and he's just like, I'm not interested in buying anything. He's losing his patience with her. Stop following me. You've never heard of browsers? She says, please leave. And they have an altercation. Then they go to drop the phone, the bottle of wine off, and Cheryl's phone rings, and she's on speakerphone, and it's Brad. And Cheryl says,
Larry's in the car.
Oh, hey. Hey, Larry.
Hey, Brad.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
By the way, the way she said it was questionable, because let's say you call me on the phone and I'm riding with one of my sons, and I would say to you, Susie, I'm with James. You know what I mean?
Right, and that is protocol. You should do
but
that.
You say it much more casually.
Correct.
She
was
did a
very
performance.
pointed.
Yes,
very pointed, and basically saying what Larry says. Then they say they're both going to Tony and Tina's. Are you still looking for a chef? And Brad says his friend Paul is the chef at Alsace, and let's go there after the show. And, and then they hang up, and Larry's just like, Larry's in the car.
Yeah, he says it's so funny.
If you plan on doing any dirty talking, Larry's at dirty talking. I love that phrase, dirty talking. Larry's in the car. And Cheryl says she was just being polite. And then the cop stopped them. The cop stops the car. There's a report from a young lady that you're following her. And then we see Laura Silverman pull up, the sales girl. You're sick, and it's revenge. And when my husband finds out about this, he's going to kill you, and blah, 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 blah. And then they say, well, they're on their way to Melanie and Ed's, and they say, well, maybe we should have called first. No, it's fine. It's whatever. We're in the neighborhood. It's a $300 bottle of wine we establish. And they ring the doorbell, and Melanie says, we can't take it. Which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
After a year.
You can't give a gift after a year.
And they're insulted.
Yeah, they're insulted. It's an afterthought. It's too late, And Larry immediately, you had no problem with the engagement vase or the shower, and then we flew to Chicago. It cost me $5,500. What? So, I mean, this thing is ridiculous to me that they won't take it. What does she say to him
when she says all that about he enjoyed it or he wanted to be there? Something like that.
Well, she says, why did you come then?
Yeah.
But don't you, am I alone in this? Is it ridiculous that you can't accept a gift?
By the way, is it ridiculous in the show, or is it ridiculous as a thing?
As a thing. It's
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Here's what I want to say. That's one of the things people love about the show. I have a lifesaver in my mouth.
Okay.
Well, I'm explaining why I sound silly.
All right.
I know, silly. But anyhow, people love that Larry attacks these things,
norms,
these rules.
Yeah.
Right.
These social norms that we all adhere to, that he says, I do not adhere to this. And they have a fight with them.
By the way, will you look up what her name is? Because she's really funny.
Who played Melanie?
Yes. And she's friends with Cheryl. She's a Groundlings actress. Cheryl produced a show with her.
Her name is Carrie Aisley.
Carrie Aisley. I did a show with her. I guest starred with Sean Hayes on an episode of this show. So funny. It was about two older women in college. It was really funny.
We'll have to look that up.
Well, by the way, thank you for the effort.
You're welcome. Then we're at Tony and Tina's wedding.
Yes.
And Larry's feeling uncomfortable. He should have worn a sports coat. And Larry says, I'm going to the bathroom.
This place was on Olympic Avenue.
Right. He's going to the bathroom, and Brad is in the bathroom and introduces himself as a Mangelo, like acting like a whole Goomba.
But that's the thing that they do.
Yes. He's in character. And Larry's like, all right, Brad, I know it's you. He's having none of it.
I can't think of anything more annoying than that.
I remember I went to go see it was the Chicago trial. So the
Chicago 7?
The Chicago 7 as a play. And when you get there, hippies greet you and they're talking to you.
Oh, God.
And you know what I said to them?
That is awful.
I'm pro-hippie. No more. Please, no more. I beg of you, no more. And they, by the way, they look at you hurt, like the chef.
So he's having none of it, but Angelo / Brad starts going into a whole diatribe about, she's going to marry that jerk. Me and Tina have a better understanding. It's all euphemisms for Brad and Cheryl.
For Brad and Cheryl,
it's all euphemisms for Brad and Cheryl. Then that cocksucker Tony, blah, blah, blah. One day, me and Tina's going to end up together. I'll finally slip her the sausage. Ay, veis mia. And then Larry does his Italian.
No, but at that
horrible.
point, he goes, telling him that I know who he is and this bullshit has not worked. And Larry goes into his own Italian thing and says really pointed shit back at him.
Exactly.
In the Italian voice. I love that.
And then we cut to at the restaurant, Alsace, and you're there, and Ted is there, and Jeff just wants to order everything on the menu. Yeah, not surprising.
Actually, no, by the way, it's a declaration. By the way, no one would disagree. Let's order everything on the menu because we're testing the chef, and everyone goes, "Yeah, let's do it."
And Cheryl brought the $300 bottle of wine.
I got a toast, yeah.
And she's pouring it and telling the story about the gift. And they toast to the Lobes, who is Melanie and Ed, and that's why they have the lovely bottle. And a guy comes over and pushes Larry, and he spills the wine on Cheryl.
It's not a guy; it's her husband.
Whose husband?
Laura Silverman's husband.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. Laura Silverman. That's right. Laura Silverman's husband, who's the one who's going to kick his ass.
I was just going to say, she says that earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just wait till my husband.
Right. And Brad gets up to get the club soda and salt, and then we see that it's Laura Silverman's husband.
But by the way, what's going on in this is a half a dozen things at once. You know, everyone's got a different. Right. It's almost like I got the horse right here.
Yeah.
His name is Paul Revere, and when they cross over each other, you go, "How did they do?"
It's a fugue.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's a comedy fugue.
Yes, it's a fugue.
Have you heard that before, John?
I have not.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's what that song is called, too, by the way.
What?
A fugue.
Yeah.
A fugue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a death
so
thing.
the wine is on Cheryl. We see Laura Silverman's husband grabbing Larry by the lapels and choking him. And meanwhile, Brad has the club soda and salt all over Cheryl's breast, rubbing Cheryl's breast.
Hold on. He doesn't start right on her breast. He eventually goes to the breast. And by the way, that was like a note for that might have been the last take because he didn't want the guy, out of respect for Cheryl, didn't want it. And then he took Cheryl aside and said, "Will you mind if we do that?" And Cheryl's always game. She's a game. She's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Let's do it. And then he is really rubbing on her breast.
Yeah.
And you see the shot of Ted Danson and I, where we're glued.
In a state of shock.
We're glued.
Yeah.
We're glued to
Riveted.
it. And
Riveted.
Larry's getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
And
then the end.
The end. But that's
hilarious.
Really the funny fugue.
Yeah. It's a
I used to hold
good
family
episode.
fugue.
I never heard that before. That's called a fugue.
Well, there you go. It's not a non sequitur.
I was not.
If she just yelled
that.
it had nothing to do with the show, it'd be a non sequitur.
That would be.
And John, we've enjoyed having you here.
And I've had a blast here.
John,
maybe not a blast.
You're going to come
People
back.
always say that I had a blast, like on talk shows.
Well, by the way,
having a blast
let's actually ask you this: anything the rest of the day that's going to compare to this? I'm not talking about
the
nap.
day is young.
I'm a pro nap. Nap beats everything, but I have a nap.
Are there any good games on today?
No.
There's no sports to watch. So this is probably the highlight of my day.
Well, we have the ride home, John.
That's right. The two of you came together
have the ride
from
home.
the Santa Monica area.
Yes, we did.
And I'm going.
So, John, you're going to come back later on because you're producing season 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure.
So you're coming back whether you liked it, whether you had a blast or not. You're coming back.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, thank you for listening.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye. See you next week.